Hello, and welcome to Social Workers Rise, where we inspire social workers to connect, expand their knowledge, and change more lives than they ever thought possible. We will talk everything social work on every level from micro to macro. We are going to hear stories of social workers who are doing big things, learn new skills, and most importantly, give you actionable steps to make a difference today. Let's go. Welcome to another episode of Social Workers Rise. It is your host, Catherine here. Today, in this episode, we're going to be talking about areas of functioning. So this is super important when you're working with clients in a clinical setting where you're doing direct practice in really kind of any mental health type of setting. And a little bit about me before we hop into there is I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm based out of California. I've been social working since 2009 with a lot of experiences working with adults, medical settings, hospices, hospitals. I've done a couple years of work in the community within the affordable housing sector and also within food banks, working with low-income families, diverse populations, Latinas, Latinos, a lot of different populations that I have experience with. And I will tell you that basically anywhere you go, they're going to want to know that you can do a proper assessment of what they call the areas of functioning. So this is essentially when you are, when you're a social worker and you have a new client come in, they will ask you typically to do an assessment, right? And this is one of those skills that new employers are going to expect you to have out of grad school. So whether you have been trained in this or not, if they see that you have your master's in social work, they're going to expect you to know how to do this. So get ready, listen up, right? It doesn't matter if you have a macro background, if your internship didn't train you, if you didn't go over this in your coursework. They want you to know how to do an areas of functioning assessment, right? As part of your assessment. So, and this is just a small little part of your assessment. So the types of settings that you're going to see this play out in is for sure going to be mental health clinics, counseling centers, hospitals, medical facilities, community health centers, any kind of social service agency, even schools and educational settings. You'll see this probably in corrections, rehabilitation facilities, nonprofit organizations, and even the employee assistance programs, right? The EAP programs that you might get hired with. So if you are planning to work in any of these settings, or you currently do, and you don't know what the areas of functioning are, then listen up. This is going to be just a quick, brief overview for you. Essentially, what the areas of functioning is kind of an assessment of what your client can do well and the areas that they struggle with, right? And this is going to include, their living situation, their activities of daily living. So what this means is essentially the things that you need to do on a daily basis that keep you alive and keep you going. So things like personal hygiene, feeding, eating, bathing yourself, going to the restroom, using the telephone, shopping for groceries, cooking, managing any kind of medication, transportation, house cleaning. Are you able to clean your house? Do you clean your house? If you use any kind of durable medical equipment, so like a cane or a walker or a wheelchair, if you are having trouble driving or can you navigate the bus system, things like that, things that you need to do to essentially, stay alive, take care of yourself, get to work, get to school, right? Another section is going to be your social or communication skills. So are you able to maintain contact with people? Are you able to have relationships? Are you able to express and understand empathy? Or do you have challenges making friends? Do you find yourself dependent upon other people when maybe you should be independent? Are you able to care for the people who are in your care, right? Are you able to care for your children? If you have an adult parent who needs to be taken care of, what does that look like, right? Another section is going to be your education or your career. Are you in school? Do you need to be in school? Are you employed? Do you need to be employed? Do we need assistance with this? What's going on with your career? The physical well being. So, is your client, able to walk? How do they walk? Are they stumbling? Are they falling? Are they a high fall risk? Are they a suicide risk, right? Have they expressed self harm? Do they have a history of this? Are they taking care of their medical conditions or are they neglecting their medical care, right? Are they being compliant with what the doctor says that they should do or not? And, what's going on with that? Additionally, the next area that you'll generally see is if they have a mental illness. How is that going? Have they been hospitalized for it? Are they able to manage the medications? Are they able to manage their emotions, right? Like how is that going? How is it impacting their life or not? Maybe they have really well control over it, right? And also the last major area that you're usually going to see is a financial assessment. So are they able to afford their basic needs? Are they able to pay their bills? Are they able to manage their money or are they gambling it? Do they spend too much on Amazon? Yeah, I might be looking at you. But do they have high debt, student loans, things like that? So these are going to be the types of areas that you're going to need to be prepared to assess with all of your clients. And this is just one little area, right? That is just one small part of your overall psychosocial assessment. If this is something that you need more support on, if you're feeling like, I don't know if I can really do this, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing this, I need more information about it, then I got you. Okay. That is exactly why I created the Clinical Essentials for the Future Therapist course, because I know that you may not have gotten this training, that your internship may not have been able to provide it for whatever reason. Maybe you didn't take a clinical course where they went over this type of things in your coursework for your master's of social work. Maybe you just have a bachelor's, which is great, and they haven't delved into this, right? Because a lot of times in your bachelor's level, it's just a brief overview and you don't learn a lot of those clinical skills. And you may actually be working in a clinical setting where you are expected to do this, where your notes could be summoned to the court, where clients can request to see those notes. And you want to make sure that they are professional sounding, that you know what you're talking about, and that you're confident in saying, okay, yeah, sure, look at the notes, that's fine, as opposed to feeling like, oh gosh, I hope, hope they don't see the crap that I talked about them in the notes, right? So we don't want that. We don't want you talking crap in there. We want you to be able to feel confident that your notes are professional and that you're proud of them and that it establishes your expertise among your colleagues and your coworkers. So that is why I created that course for you. Definitely check it out. It is worth the investment. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm here. I'm on Instagram at Social Workers Rise. You can find me on LinkedIn and make sure, especially if you're new to social work, join the email list because that is where I will send out resources, information on upcoming trainings, information on the courses that I offer, podcast updates, tools, right? So, right when you sign up, I'm going to send you a list of 100 jobs that you can do with your MSW degree. So, definitely worth it. It will be the email that you actually want to open. So, if this helped you at all, feel free to share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, share it with your boss, whoever it is that you think might benefit from this. We are not about gatekeeping of information, and I want this to be helpful for as many people as possible. So, with that, my friend, we'll be talking soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of Social Workers Rise. If you love this episode, be sure to subscribe and text this episode to a friend. If you want more, there are a few ways we can get to know each other and work together. First, definitely subscribe to the Friday Resource email list. The link is in the show notes. And that's where you can learn more about the courses I offer, including Clinical Essentials for the Future Therapist and the Pulse Basics for Medical Social Workers. I'll also be sending out occasional tips and resources and other happenings within the social work industry. And for all your clinical supervision needs, be sure to visit risedirectory.com. This is a national directory of clinical supervisors for social workers, and we also provide free resources that you can use within your own clinical supervision. Lastly, if you have more individualized needs, I do offer coaching, individual consultations, and am available for public speaking engagements for social workers and change makers. Lastly, the boring legal stuff, but very important. The information in this podcast is not meant to be a supplement for therapy, professional advice, or clinical supervision. This content is provided as is solely for informational purposes. It is not legal, health, or safety advice. I am not advising you as a therapist. Organizations should engage their own experts to ensure any adopted measures are compliant with applicable laws and standards in their jurisdictions. The opinions expressed by individuals or organizations are their own and do not reflect the views or opinions of Social Workers Rise or Catherine Moore. References to specific products or organizations do not constitute any endorsement or recommendations by Social Workers Rise.